The following is a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.
Crossed Flags, a racing podcast. It's your midweek fix for racing news and information. Brought to you by the Championship Racing Network. Now let's head trackside to join your hosts, Steve West and Matt Nicholson.
Welcome into a new week here as we have a whole lot of stuff to get to. And that's just basically because of one announcement that happened yesterday as we record this podcast. Then we've got all the other stuff that's already been announced for this week. And we'll detail it all on the big show coming up this Saturday. NHRA has given out details of their 2026 season. The prize money has jumped up and the schedule is pretty interesting. So we're going to talk about that. And one of the rumors, as far as when Cowlick Racing and Ram Trucks announced that they were coming back and bringing that brand back to NASCAR in the Craftsman Truck Series this year, one of those names that was rumored as a possibility that he might come back and drive one race at least has actually borne out, and it's actually going to happen. But we'll detail all that on Saturday because, as we promised on the big show this past weekend, we knew that the announcement of the playoff format, or how we were going to determine the top three series, Cup, O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, I'm still getting used to that, and Craftsman Truck Series, how we were going to determine a champion.
I think it's a lot better the way it looks. Way better than what it was.
It is interesting to note that when they did the press conference yesterday with President Steve O'Donnell, he had retired driver Mark Martin, retired driver turned NASCAR commentator, we'll put it that way, Dale Earnhardt Jr. He mentioned names like Ryan McGee from ESPN, which leads me to believe that this is a committee that all came together, sat down, hammered this out for however long it took, and came up with a compromise, understanding that when you're going to come up with a compromise, you're not pleasing everybody. I know that there was a group of people that really wanted to go back to the way that things used to be under the Winston Cup points system, which was basically taking it to today, go from race 1, the Daytona 500, to race number 36, which this year will be the final race at Homestead, Miami. And that's how you determine a champion. To the point where there are people that you can find on social media that currently go, hey, based upon the old Winston Cup point system, here's your points leader. Well, thanks for that exercise that means nothing. Well, sorry, you didn't get what you were looking for. There are people, and yeah, strangely enough, there's a sect of them out there that really loved this playoff system and didn't want it to change.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Yep.
You didn't get what you wanted either. I actually kind of wanted what they came up with. But I like the things that they kept, I guess might be the better way to put it, the changes that they made to bring it to modern day. And that brings us to the first picture that I'm going to ask producer Molly to put up here. In that, as you can see, we go back to the chase. The term playoffs gone. And the truth of the matter is, it never really was a playoff anyway. Playoffs was a term that was used to try to attract the people who were used to the stick and ball sports. Your baseballs, your footballs, your hockeys, your basketballs. The problem is that in baseball, basketball, and hockey, you do a playoff series where Team A plays Team B. Team A beats Team B in a best of 5 or a best of 7 series, and Team B goes home, and they're now officially on vacation. Or you're in the NFL playoffs, which we're currently in right now. We just had wild card weekend. Team A beats Team B. Team B is gone after game 1, and they're on vacation until we get into next season. And Team A moves on. And we never really saw that in the playoffs in NASCAR because, for example, I'll use Matt and I. Matt and I are in the playoffs, but after round 1, Matt moves on. I, unfortunately, gets bounced out of the playoffs. Do I go home? Is my season done? And I have to wait until February to come back at Daytona? Nope. I'm still racing. It just so happens that I'm not racing for a title. Matt is. So not really a playoffs. Now the chase is back. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means 16 drivers, 10 races, 1 champion. Okay, that sounds great, right? But really, well, what does that mean? Producer Molly, please bring up picture number 2. 10 races. We've gone over the schedule before on the big show. Darlington, Labor Day weekend, all the way to Homestead, Miami on the final weekend. Notice something on that schedule that's missing from when we revealed the schedule last year?
No rounds.
No round of 16, no round of 12, no round of 8, no Final 4. This is just from Darlington to Homestead, Miami, who is going to score the most points. So what you have is a 26 race season that determines the 16 drivers who are going to battle for the title.
Mm-hmm.
And that's determined only by points, which we'll dive into here in a moment. And then you separate the 16 out, and they are determined only by points.
Right. That's the way it should have stayed. That's the way it should have never gotten away from, because running a season is about scoring points, not about who wins here, who wins there, or have your whole season defined by one race. It should have never gotten to that, in my opinion, because it wouldn't be right to me. You know, if you compare it to stick and ball sports, like you were saying earlier, it wouldn't be right to me if the Marlins or the Braves, they win their first game of the season. Oh, you're in the playoffs. You winning in. No, it don't work like that. It doesn't need to work like that. Or if Patriots win their first game, oh, you're in the playoffs. No, it doesn't work like that. Or if the Atlanta Hawks win their first NBA game, you're not in the playoffs automatically. It should have never gotten away from that. Motorsports is about scoring, is about your body of work through the season, not by how many races you win and how you can elevate yourself through a playoff system. This right here, I told this to somebody last night that just sent me a message and asked me the question, what do you think it's going to do? The first thing I said was it's going to stop having lazy racing. because it went to this
I like that.
It went to this mentality of, oh, I win a race, I'm in the playoffs. Then you can just go on cruise control the rest of the year.
Oh yeah.
Some people did do that.
The amount of things you could be able to try at that point in time were amazing. Winner of the Daytona 500 now has 25 races before the end of the regular season, and they can go and they can start trying things and experimenting. You know, and you think about who has effectively won the Daytona 500, not that for, I don't know, past couple of years anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It's Alex Bowman. So Alex Bowman can now go and be the research and development car for Hendrick Motorsports. While Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson, you see where I'm going with this, and William Byron, they now all get the benefit of what Alex Bowman's over here doing in the corner. The other three get the benefit from it as they're trying to lock themselves into the playoffs. Another way to look at it, again, we eliminated the round of 4. Who won the first race last year at the round of 4 in Las Vegas? Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin is now locked into your title race, but he has the 2 other races, Talladega, which you have a harder time experimenting at Talladega because, well, it's just pack racing.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got Martinsville to be able to sit back and relax and get your team prepared for the season finale, which last year was at Phoenix. You have time to prepare. You can sit back, like Matt said, and be on cruise control. That's now out. The other thing that's out, and this brings up the next picture, Producer Molly, is winning you're in, as Matt was alluding to, is gone. You win the Daytona 500. Congratulations to you. You're not guaranteed a darn thing, except for the points and the prize money. Well, unless you're Jimmy Johnson. That's another story that we dealt with Saturday on the Big Show. But a win no longer guarantees you're in the playoffs. That's perfect. That's what this reads. I mean, top 16 drivers in the final regular season is points. Winning your in's out. The points leader at the end of the regular season earns a 25-point advantage. You see that at the bottom right there. And we're going to detail that a little bit more as we go on. But the fact that winning you're in is gone, I think is a major boost. But let me warn producer Molly this. I'm going to ask her to go to the next picture, but we're going to come back to this one here in a moment, okay? So we talked about the bonus going into the chase. There is still a bonus for you to win. There's still an incentive for you to want to go and win the race. Last year it was win and you're locked into the playoffs, and it really didn't matter where you were in the points. You could be 35th in the points, and if you won a race, you were in. Austin Dillon. Now, yes, you still get a bonus based upon the fact that you claim the win. You get 55 points. Last year that was 40. Second place still only gets, I say only, but they only get 35 points. So for winning a race, you have a 20-point bonus over the person who finished second. Yep. There is an incentive there still, considering the fact that you're accruing points over 26 points races. Yep,
and with what you would classify as a perfect race. If you were to have a perfect race, all the stage points will still be in play.
Yeah, stages are still in play, so stage points are still in play. And from what we understand, that hasn't changed. So if you win the stage, you still get 10. Second place gets 9. Third place gets 8, all the way down to 10th place, getting 1 point. If you're 11th and back, you don't get anything.
You could technically walk away with, if you had a perfect race, which I could foresee a perfect race happening by race 3.
Oh, sure.
COTA.
Absolutely.
That's all I got to say, COTA. You could walk away with 76 points.
Now, so you're wondering where 76 comes from. 55 for winning the race, 2 stages, 10 points each, 75. Where's that other point come from?
Fastest lap.
Bingo. Xfinity fastest lap, as we're now getting to call it, get you a bonus point. So 76 points. Yeah, I could foresee at a road course we get that. Think about the dominance of one guy by the name of SVG. Or the initials of SVG, Sam Van Gisbergen. But don't, and you and I are going to detail this as we start to get into or get closer to the beginning of the regular season. We're going to make some kind of off-the-wall predictions on the show, on the big show probably. And don't discount who SVG's teammate is going to be this year, a rookie by the name of Connor Zilic. That may come into play during some of those predictions.
That it will.
Okay, let's go back a picture. Okay, Molly? Now, if you look down at the bottom of this particular one, you can see where the points are detailed there. And Molly may give us a closer look at that than just the screens behind us. But if you look at it, and you are the regular season champion, you also get a bonus. You end up, when they reset the points to separate the top 16 from 17 all the way down to however many there are running for points in the Cup Series, you get 2,100 points. Second place is 2,075. Third place, 2,065. So first has a 25-point advantage over second. Second has a 10-point advantage over third. And from there, it drops down 5 points all the way down to 2,000, where 16th place is. So if Matt is the regular season champion and I come in 16th, I'm 100 points behind him. But think about this. Darlington's kind of a crazy track. And if I just happen to have one of those days where everything is running perfect for me and I claim the win at Darlington and he ends up in something, let's say, not of his own doing at Darlington, all of a sudden I have 55 points and he claims, what, 4? So he's at 2,104, and now I'm suddenly at 2,055. All I need is one more race like that, and I'm right on his heels. This goes back. This reminds me of what made the original chase so much fun. And it brings me back to, and I've admitted he's my guy. I'm a fan. I was a fan of him. I'm still a fan of his, and I'm talking about Tony Stewart. But let me take you back to the 2011 chase. If you remember that chase where Tony Stewart won his third Cup, he came in That team didn't have a win all during the regular season. Tony Stewart even admitted during the media interviews leading into race number 1 of that chase, he didn't feel like his team deserved to be there because they hadn't done anything all year long. And then what happened during the chase? He rattles off 5 wins in 10 races and claims the title. You can do that again now. But it's all natural over that 10 race span. It doesn't matter what happens in races 1 through 3 and then hope that you get past that. And then you do 4 through 6 and hope you get past that hurdle and do 7 through 9 and hope you get past that hurdle. No, it is your performance over the course of 10 races.
So by technicality, if someone had a perfect stretch up until then, and that is a very, very large if, they had a perfect stretch up until then, there's a chance that a champion could be crowned at Talladega.
Oh, absolutely.
A chance.
That kind of becomes the downside of it, if you will, because it means for all intent and purposes that the season finale, Homestead Miami, becomes meaningless. And I get that, but that's part of the game. That's part of the situation, okay?
Yeah.
If you look at Super Bowls in the past, we have gotten into Super Bowls where, for all intent and purposes, the fourth quarter, heck, sometimes even the third quarter, didn't matter. Game was a blowout already by halftime. We knew who was going to win. It wasn't going to change things. Or you got into game number 4 of a World Series or NBA championship round or a Stanley Cup final, and one team, Team A, had beaten Team B in the previous 3 games, and they were on cruise control, and you just knew game 4, it was fait accompli. It can happen. It will happen. We've seen it in Indycar. We've seen it in Formula One. You're going to have a hard time avoiding it when you're taking the entire body of work. But at that point in time, what you really need to do is you need to understand that it's not as big a negative as I'm making it sound. We need to be able to figure out how to celebrate the dominance of that team and that driver.
For sure.
That really should be the way that we're looking at it.
Yeah. It should be, because, like I said earlier, motorsports is about a body of work, not a 10-race segment or even a 1-race deal. Case in point, look, Denny Hamlin.
Sure.
One race negated his entire body of work last year.
It did.
And that's not right.
No, I agree.
That's not right.
I agree. So 55 points, 75 if you win both stages, and if you get the fastest lap, 76 points. There's a lot of room for maneuver here. Mm-hmm. So, and yeah, I mean, if you get a really dominant performance, yes, it can happen that we take some of the drama out of the very end, the last 1, maybe even 2 races. Because like you said, it could happen where the third to last race of the year, not even the second to last race of the year, but at Talladega, we can crown a champion. We still got to race Martinsville. We still got to race at Homestead Miami. And the good thing is that both of those have really good racing for the most part. Martinsville is always really tight, a lot of beating and banging. You never know what's going to happen. It's always kind of a toss-up.
And it's going to be different this year because they're putting fresh concrete down in the corners.
Yeah. So that makes it even more interesting. And then Homestead Miami is one of those intermediate tracks where this generation of car, for whatever reason, just seems to really have taken to it. And Homestead Miami's got some really good racing. So even though a champion might have been crowned, we're still going to have to figure out who 2nd through 16th is. And there's still a very good possibility, and I know that they're going to give a bonus for it. The person who finishes in 17th, the top finisher outside the playoffs, they're going to get a bonus as well. So there's every possibility on the planet that 17th place is still up for grabs as well. So there's still drama. There's still storylines to be talked about. So even if they do end up crowning a champion well before the finale, there's still things to talk about, and that's the good part about it.
The only one thing with it, with the cup field, I would have liked to have seen it down to 12, not 16. I would have liked to have seen it 12.
I get it.
Tighten it up.
I get it, but I also understand why they kept it at 16, because I've heard a couple of people talking about this, and it's kind of bearing itself out. The bigger the teams are the more we see how they're able to put resources into it. And let's face it, we know that the king over at Chevrolet is Hendrick Motorsports. We know the king at Toyota is Joe Gibbs Racing. And we know the king over at Ford is Team Penske.
Mm-hmm.
Hendrick's got 4 cars. Gibbs has 4 cars. That's 8. Team Penske, for all intents and purposes, has 4 cars because the Wood Brothers number 21 is very closely affiliated to Team Penske. That's 12 spots.
Basically prepared in their shop.
Yeah. So there's unfortunately a possibility that we could have seen the entirety of a top 12 or top 10 taken up by 3 teams.
Yep.
So I understand why they kept it at 16.
Yeah, they could give more parity.
Yeah. And here we go again. When we talk about this, understand this isn't a perfect system. There's no such thing as a perfect system because man devised it. This is a compromise. This is an understanding that we still want to have an opportunity where we can celebrate a select group of drivers who have had a really, really great year. And they ended up in the top 16, in this case, in points. And we want to celebrate them and we want to give them the chance to fight for the title. And we want to be able to celebrate that, and we should. Now, somebody obviously will keep up with the points as it would have been under the old Winston Cup system, which again is pointless because that's not the system we're under. And they'll state that this driver, if we had stayed as the whole 36, would have won the title as opposed to this driver. We're racing under the system we're racing under. It's the compromise that we make to try to be able to celebrate this group of drivers, this select group of drivers, versus the entire field. Again, it's not perfect. No, we agree to that. Myself, Matt, I'm sure he does too, even though I'm not going to speak for him. He can speak for himself. He's sitting right here. Agree, disagree?
It's not perfect, but it's better than what it was.
There you go. But this is the system we've got. And the truth of the matter is that when you look at the racing at the track, when you boil it down, it's still racing. And that's why you're watching this podcast. It's why we're doing this podcast. It's why we go to the races or we watch them on TV as often as we possibly can, as long as our schedules and our lives allow that to fit in. It's what we're doing here. It's why we do it. Because we love racing in all of its forms. It's why I've mentioned here on this particular show, IndyCar and F1 doing it that way. We've seen IndyCar and F1 seasons basically end up having the last 2, 3, maybe even 4 or 5 races blown up because we already know who the champion is. But you got to look at the subplots as well of who's going to be second, third, fourth, fifth, and on down the line. This, truth be told, is very not only similar to the previous chase that we did, it's a lot like the countdown to the championship that the NHRA does.
It has its similarities, yes.
They take the top 10 drivers or those that qualify under a specific set of rules, which I'm not even going to try and get into here. It'd take us way too long. And they separate out 6 events at the end of the year, and they celebrate those 10 drivers and give them a chance to go and fight for a title in Top Fuel, Funny Car, Pro Stock Motorcycle. Same kind of situation. I don't hear a whole lot of people complaining about that from the NHRA's aspect.
No.
I don't know why we'd be all that worried about complaining it here. NASCAR hasn't ruined this. They are, again, human. They're not perfect. God knows they're not perfect. We've been more than happy to point that out here on this podcast and the big show. But I like where this is going.
It's in a much better direction. So some of the media people that were just advocating and just drooling over the playoffs like it was, Jordan Bianchi, and I will call you out, get over it.
Yeah.
Because you acted like yesterday there were some visuals throughout the camera panning where like you were sold up sitting in your chair like you didn't get what you wanted. Tough luck.
Welcome to life.
Tough luck.
Welcome to life. There's a lot of things that I've been looking for and wanting as far as what I do in and around the racing business. Guess what? I ain't got them all. It's life.
It's overall, it's made for lazy racing. And now we're going to see if this right here picks the product back up.
I agree wholeheartedly. And the funny thing is that we've been talking about how 76 points is the best that you can get. There's one race exception here.
Charlotte.
Coca-Cola 600. Don't forget, not 2 stages, but 3. So there's a chance to gain even more points in that particular race.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep hearing how they want to try and do things at Daytona and Talladega as far as the 500-mile races. And both the Talladega races are 500-milers. Daytona 500 obviously is 500. I think Daytona in the regular season is in a better place being at 400 because I think the way that the stages fall, it works out a little bit better. You can stay on the accelerator a little more.
Picks the intensity up.
I think that's the next thing that NASCAR needs to work on. You need to have the ability to figure out how to get these drivers to stop worrying about saving so much gas that a car that is out by itself, and we saw this with our own 2 eyes at Talladega not that long ago, where a driver out on the track all by himself with his foot to the floor actually was going faster than the pack. That should not happen.
That should never happen.
But we saw it. We watched it lap after lap after lap for 5-6 laps at least, where one car was outpacing the pack.
Yep.
That's got to change. What does that mean? Does it mean that we add another stage in a la the Coca-Cola 600? I don't know. I don't have the answer. But there's something that needs to be done there to make these people put their foot farther down to the floor. Plain and simple.
I agree.
Okay, so producer Molly, let's go ahead 2 pictures, shall we? We talked about how you get 55 points for the win. That's great. How does this affect the O'Reilly Auto Parts, formerly Xfinity Series, for example? Well, the first thing that you need to look at is right up there, about midway up on the right-hand side. 12 drivers, 9 races. 12 drivers is the same. It was 12 drivers last year under the playoff system. Now it's still 12 drivers under the chase system. But it was 10 races last year. It's now 9 races this year. Why? Think about it. In the Xfinity Series season last year, it was 33 races. Under the new O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, it's again 33 races, not 36. A little bit shorter season, shorter chase. Problem?
None.
Okay.
None whatsoever.
Look down at the bottom there as well. That points, once again, reset for the top 12 this time. 2,100 points for first place, but now you get down to 12th, 2020. Should that have been reset lower to the point where 12 still sat at 2,000, or that's just window dressing?
I think it's more window dressing because of how the field, the playoff, the chase field will be set. I think it's more window dressing, which is fair to me.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with that. That works for me. So does that, let's just say predict a trend? Well, when producer Molly gives us the final picture here, you'll see that it does. Here's the Craftsman Truck Series. Last year, when the playoff system, we had 10 drivers vying for the title. You can see in that same spot in the middle range on the right-hand side, it's still 10 drivers. But now we drop down to 7 races because the Truck Series season is even shorter than the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series is. So now it's 10 drivers over a 7-race slate. 2,100 points down to 2,030. Using the same basic system, first place has a 25-point advantage over second place with a 10-point advantage over third, and then 5 points on down the line. So there you are. This is the new system. For better or worse, it does reward consistency over the part of the regular season, and then rewards consistency over the entirety of the chase. And you could say, well, it should have been for the whole season from the season debut at Daytona to the season finale at Homestead, Miami. Again, you weren't going to get that. NASCAR doesn't want to do it that way. And you can argue it, and you can slap them around, or you can think that you'd love to slap them around all you want. But the truth of the matter is I think it's a very, very good compromise.
Yeah.
And I mean that specifically. If I felt like this was a bad call, you ought to know me, and you ought to know by now, through both this podcast and through the big show that we do on Saturday, we're not scared to tell you our opinion. If we think it's a bad call, we tell you it's a bad call. I don't think this is a bad call. I think it's a very, very good compromise. It is a very good step towards getting us back to what a lot of those people were looking for, which was consistency over the whole season being the biggest part of it.
Agreed. I do agree, because in the end, there should not be a car that is 32nd or 33rd in points and they luck up and win Daytona. They're in the playoffs. No, because you're getting bounced round one.
And here's the other point of it. Daytona, Talladega, even Atlanta to a certain extent, although we're starting to see a little bit more of the regular racing coming back. It's not so much the drafting as it was when they first did the first 3-4 races there and the pavement was still new. The pavement has started to really season in, and we're starting to see separation there. But you could luck up, or let's go back to Matt and me being two drivers in there. Matt is the driver of the show, and I admit that. So I'm going to put Matt in the position of being in the power seat. But everything evens out at Daytona and Talladega and used to at Atlanta, to the point where even I could beat Matt at Daytona or Talladega. I could luck up and beat him, even though I know I don't have as much driving talent as he does, because he's got a lot more practice at it. But yeah, I could. And that means suddenly I get in. Well, we've seen that. We've seen, sorry, here's our favorite punching bag on the show coming back again. We have seen Austin Dillon luck up and get a win and slide into the playoffs. What did he do? Nothing. He was a driver who was at the very tail end of the regular season points. He happens to get a race where he and his team are good. Richmond, Martinsville, whatever short track it happens to be. And he suddenly lucks in and gets into the playoffs.
Nope.
And then once he gets into the playoffs, he's gone. Bye-bye. See ya. Dust blown away in the wind. Thanks for coming. Hope you enjoyed your time. 3 races and you're out. See ya. That doesn't happen now. If I happen to be in that position and I luck up and I win Talladega, boy, I better suddenly get on a pretty good hot streak to make sure that I'm in the top 16 by the time we get done at Daytona. Otherwise, I'm not vying for a title starting at Darlington on Labor Day weekend. That's it. You got to have that consistency over the course of the year. It's great to celebrate the occasional win. And they all do, and they all should, because claiming a win at the top level of whatever series you're at, Formula One, NHRA, Indycar, now Cup Series, I still want to say Xfinity, O'Reilly Auto Parts, Craftsman Truck Series, you're at the top levels of whatever series that you're in. You should celebrate the win. But does that mean you automatically go to the playoffs? In this case, the chase? No, and it shouldn't have before. I love the fact that you wanted to reward the win, but to reward the win, you do what they've done here with this new rule. You give them some extra points. Now, go out and do it again. Or go out and consistently get top 5s and top 10s, and let's see what you do. Yeah, you were able to go out and luckily claim a win at Talladega. Congratulations. Now what do? That's yesterday. That's last week. That's last month. What have you done for us lately? Thank you, Janet Jackson. What have you done to be able to say, I deserve to fight for a Cup, O'Reilly Auto Part, or Craftsman Truck Series title? And that's what this does.
Yep, it gets it back to that.
Again, is it perfect? No. It's made by humans. Of course it's not. But they got a group of people together who said, okay, you really want this? This is the best way to make sure that we reward consistency over the course of the year. Here's consistency over 26 races. Take this group. Now we need consistency over 10 to figure out who the champion is. I'm good with that. It doesn't diminish who's won titles in the past, because if you won a championship, you won a championship. There have been numerous drivers who have won multiple titles using a number of different point systems. Go back in NASCAR's history and look it up. Go back in F1's history. Go back in Indycar's history. Go back in the NHRA history. Go back in whatever racing series you want to and look it up. Point systems change all the time. The way they dole out the points to first, second, third, and so on has constantly changed. It doesn't mean that this system or that system is better or worse. It doesn't mean that the person who claimed the title at the end of the season is any less worthy of being called champion. It just means that they were the champion under that system. And that doesn't diminish it. They're still a champion. Or a 2-time or a 3-time or a 5-time or a 7-time or whatever time champion they are. It doesn't diminish it. But this right here is what most NASCAR fans were looking for. You were looking for it especially. And I like the fact that it does reward that consistency over the course of the year. And that's the way that it should be. Because if you can't maintain that ability to be good from the beginning of the year to the end, you better be able to figure out how to take a portion of the season and be so hot that you're able to withstand the storm of when you cool off. We've seen drivers that come out of the gate just absolutely on fire, and they get into the summertime and something goes away. Or we've seen drivers that come out of the gate, meh, but when the temperature warms up, they get hot because it's their kind of time of racing. They love that style. They love the way that the heat reacts with the track, and it just all is perfect for them. And they suddenly make this bonsai charge to the end. This is what this allows now again. And I love it. And I can't wait for the racing to begin. And we're just a couple of more weeks away.
Yep, and not far.
That being said, Chili Bowl's going on starting tonight.
Started yesterday.
I apologize. So we'll talk about that coming up this weekend. Again, we'll tease the big name that's coming in to run at least one race for Cowlig and Ram trucks this year. And we'll talk about the IHRA because they've got their 2026 season set for the Nitro Outlaw Series. And this is their version of what we would call the Mission Foods Drag Racing Series in the NHRA. This is their top fuel, their funny car divisions, their premier nitro fueled divisions. They have upped the purses, and they've told us every single one of the tracks they're going to save one. So we'll detail that this coming Saturday and all the other news of the week. Make sure you join us on the big show on Saturday. You can see it starting at 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central Time. If you are in East Central Alabama, we've got a local radio station, but truth be told, just like this podcast, you can get it on YouTube. Go to CRN Live. Put that in the search engine here on YouTube, and you'll be able to watch the show starting 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central Time. Join us on Saturday for all that. And we hope to see you then. And thank you very much. Don't forget to subscribe. Comment below as well right here. We appreciate it very much. Thank you to producer Molly, producer John. For Matt Nicholson, I'm Steve West. Thank you for checking out this edition of Crossed Flags.
You've been listening to Crossed Flags, a racing podcast. For more content like this, subscribe to CRN Live on YouTube, and you'll be set to catch the 2-hour live show every Saturday morning at 9 Eastern, 8 Central.